Well, thank you very much, Steve. That's very kind of you, and it's true. He is sort of on the receiving end of several tweets a morning when I'm coming into work or just roaming around the communities of the City of Ottawa. So it's great to have great leaders at the City of Ottawa, and Steve Kanalakis is certainly one of those. And very nice to have Dr. Aaron Burry with us, and I know you're going to be hearing from Alex Munter, who's a former municipal and regional councillor, who's now the president of the Children's Hospital of Eastern Ontario, an institution we're very, very proud of. To President Dave and to Kieran and all of the members of the executive, merci beaucoup d'accepter notre invitation ici à la ville d'Ottawa. Merci à tous les bénévoles qui sont responsables pour cette conférence ce matin. Thank you all very much to the board of directors, Dave, and your colleagues, and to all who are responsible for putting this event on. These kinds of events take a lot of time, a lot of effort, and we have a great local organizing committee, and I also want to thank them. I'd like to thank OMSSA very much for hosting the event here, and I was just telling Kira that we'd like you to come back, in fact, in 2017, because this is my little pitch to you. 2017 is a big year in Canada's history because many of you may know it's the 150th anniversary of Confederation. And we are working very diligently at the City of Ottawa to encourage groups like yours and conferences and sporting and cultural events to locate their activity for 2017 in Ottawa, because we're going to be putting together a year of activities that are going to highlight the pride we have in our country, and we hope that the OMSSA conference can be part of that particular year of celebration. So that's my little sales pitch to get you to consider coming to Ottawa in 2017. I'd like to begin by acknowledging our conference hosts, OMSSA and the City of Ottawa's Community and Social Services Department, for the tremendous amount of work that they have put into this program. I recall very fondly working with your organization when I had the honor of being the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, and I know that OMSSA and service managers were key partners with the province in putting together the affordable long-term housing strategy that has come to fruition. And this work, of course, is still ongoing, and we still obviously need to do more work. But certainly rest assured that at the municipal level, as early as just a few weeks ago, when mayors from most of the major Canadian cities gathered in Vancouver, there were a few notable absences, but I won't go into that. We got together, and people like Naheem Nenshi and Gregor Robertson from Vancouver and Calgary and myself and other mayors of large cities focused our number one priority at this conference of big city mayors on housing. And it was the first time this has been done, actually, in the history of the Big City Mayors Caucus, where we took one issue, instead of having a smorgasbord of different issues, took one issue, that being housing and homelessness, and dealt with that, calling on the federal and provincial governments that we've got to get back to the table to ensure that we have a national housing strategy. We're the only G8 country in the world that doesn't have a national housing strategy, and understand that at the local level, where you and I work, we cannot afford to deal with the housing and homelessness issues solely with property tax. And one of the reasons why I was proud to have signed the upload agreement between the province and the 444 municipalities in the province of Ontario was that we wanted to take that burden away from property taxpayers and put it rightfully where it should be at the provincial level. Because as you know, we're the only province in Canada that uses property taxes to pay for a portion of social service costs. And so by 2018, all of those dollars will be uploaded, the responsibilities will be uploaded to the province and the dollars given to the municipal sector. And in my first year as mayor, I decided that the right thing to do with those savings, really, which were coming from the social services envelope, were to reinvest those into a social service such as housing and homelessness. And the $14 million, working with our staff and my council colleagues, and that's monitored. The staff know, because every couple of months I want an update, and they understand that they're going to have to come and let me know what are the factors that prove that these dollars and the programs we put in place are working, such as the wait times and the number of people in shelters and the number of people that have received affordable housing and new units being built and new rent supplements that have been issued. So it's a very, very comprehensive program, and it's working well. We're starting to see some positive results, but that's just a small drop in the bucket. You know and I know that the housing challenge that faces so many of our citizens is great, and the need is great, and the dollars are not as great as we'd like them. So I'm very appreciative of the work that OMSSA did in the preparation of the long-term affordable housing strategy, and I look forward to continuing working with other mayors from across the country rather, to ensure that the federal government in its upcoming budget next year and the provincial government understands that this is vitally important, because we know that it all starts at the home. If individuals are couch surfing or they're living in substandard or unhealthy housing environments, they are more likely to be clients of yours at the social service community. They're more than likely to go into the criminal justice system, and they don't have the stability that they need to ensure that they can raise their families and set their path on the right course. So I very much appreciate the work that you do and your colleagues from across the province. It's often thankless work. You're often seeing some people in our community and our society that are most vulnerable, the poorest of the poor. And it really is quite remarkable, the professionalism and the positive attitude that you and your colleagues on the front line take each and every day dealing with, as I said, some of the most vulnerable people in our community. You know, I had an opportunity much more frequently when I was mayor the last time of going every Tuesday to one of our soup kitchens, the Shepherds of Good Hope. And I chose that because it was not too far from where City Hall was located on Sussex Drive. And, you know, when you're mayor, you get to see some of the best of the city. But if you only see the best of the city and you only are living in what some would call splendid isolation of going to diplomatic events and meeting, visiting delegations and clipping ribbons at community centers, you're not seeing the whole side of your city. And even though we live in a very rich and prosperous country, and Ottawa is a very rich and prosperous community, there are thousands of our fellow citizens that are slipping between the cracks each and every day. And that visit to the soup kitchen every week on a Tuesday was an eye-opener for me, but it also kept me grounded. And it really gave me a small sense, just for a couple of hours each week, of the challenges you and your colleagues face and the people that you and your colleagues see literally each and every day. And what struck me the first couple of times I was there was the range of ages of people coming to that soup kitchen for, you know, a hot meal on a cold February afternoon. There were the very old, who in many ways were going to end up leaving this planet through the social service network and going to a soup kitchen, which was not particularly dignified, and the very young, the children that were coming in with their parents. And I thought, you know, what would be worse? You know, starting your life off, going into a soup kitchen each and every day, or ending your life? And I realized right away neither option was acceptable. So we have a lot of work to do, and we're counting on you and your colleagues to carry out that important work that brings dignity and a sense of hope to people that we don't often cross in my line of work on a daily basis. So I want to thank you all very much for the time and the efforts that you have put into this conference. I know it's in vogue these days. Well, you know, politicians are saying, you know, we should be cutting conference budgets and this and that. But you can't do everything through technology. You need to have this ability to interact face-to-face, develop networks, discuss best practices and policies, see what other jurisdictions are doing. So I very much appreciate you and your municipalities taking the time and the effort to hold these kinds of conventions throughout the province of Ontario. Encore, merci beaucoup pour l'invitation de parler. Bonne chance avec la conférence. Thank you all very much for the good work you do. Thank you to my colleagues, Steve and Aaron, and certainly the folks from Community and Social Services who work so hard on so many projects that I brought forward, the Older Adult Plan, the Youth Summit, the Housing Strategy, and many more. Have a great conference. Merci.